I think it's really a good idea for everybody to have the experience of this and know where we're going, the direction we're going in. The one caveat for everyone is if you're driving a car or you're doing some work that requires your full attention, it's not going to be a good idea to listen to this first part. You might want to fast forward or listen to this another time. So with that in mind, for those of you who are not driving a car, let's get started. I'm going to ask you simply to just become aware of your right hand and where it is, where in space it is. It's resting on your lap. Maybe it's resting on an armrest of your chair. Wherever your right arm and right hand is, don't worry about it. Just let it be there and bring your attention to that. You might want to close your eyes so you can get your full attention on that particular part of your body. And as you start to zero in on the right hand, you might notice where maybe that part of the hand is touching some part of your body or the armrest. And there might be a part of your hand that's not touching anything. Become a little bit more focused on your right hand and notice your right thumb. Is it touching any of your other fingers or is it out by itself? Is it pointing up? Is it pointing down? Is it pointing sideways? It doesn't matter what it's doing. It's just a matter of you being aware of it. Now you might be aware of the air passing around that thumb. There might be some air circulating around that, and the air might be cooler or warmer. And then forget about your right thumb and think about your right index finger, your pointer finger. And the same thing, is that touching any of your other fingers, or is it off by itself? What direction is it pointing in? Is it got free airflow going around it, or maybe there's only a little part of it that's got air? Or maybe what part of it's touching some surface. And then go to your middle finger and do the same thing. It's getting easier to do. Just be aware of your middle finger and is it touching anything? What's the temperature like? Go to your ring finger. I notice as you're doing this, you might find that your breathing is slowing down, and you might find that your activity of your brain is slowing down, and it might be feeling calming and peaceful. Whatever it feels is okay. Or you might have some questions about why we're doing this. That's okay too. And your pinky finger, which way is it pointing? Is it touching any other part of your body? Is it touching maybe the cloth of your shirt or your pants, whatever you're wearing? Some of you may also notice that in the palm of your hand, it feels like there's a little bit of energy there. Like there's some kind of, it might be the blood pouring through your hand, as pulse rate goes. Whatever is happening, just notice the feelings, be aware of it, and notice how you feel. How does it feel to be in this present moment, just looking at, feeling your right hand? And notice in doing so, you've actually started to control your mind. You might have changed the chemistry of your brain. You might be moving from a beta wave state into an alpha wave state. This is part of the process of learning how to control your mind and how to have it do what you want it to do rather than what it's been programmed to do. With that in mind, now you can bring your awareness back into your body and into your mind and into your space that you're in, and feel the chair that you're sitting in or where you're standing. And welcome back.
Oh, that's amazing. The exercise is actually so incredible because it perfectly illustrates the opposite of the biggest myth out there, which people think hypnosis is about being hacked or losing control. So, Paul, can you explain why what we just did and what you do in your clinic is actually about the client taking almost their power back?
Right. So, boy, we have to go back a long way to start this story, but the story starts in our childhood. It starts when we're learning to be programmed into becoming the people that we become. And so if you were born in an English-speaking country, you would learn the program, you would be programmed into speaking English. If you were born into an Asian culture, you might be, using chopsticks to eat with instead of a knife, fork, and spoon. Whatever you're learning as a child, you're learning that because your family and the culture wants you to fit in. That's exactly what this is all about. Your mom and dad love you or whatever is going on with them, and the culture wants you to fit in. So your school is helping you to do that. Your environment, the culture, the neighbors, everything is involved in that. And a lot of those programs are very valuable. Learning to walk and learning to talk and learning the language and learning how to eat. All those are great things to learn. They're great things to have in your programming. But there's also programming that comes along that maybe not so great. Mom and dad might be fighting a lot, or maybe there's not enough money in their house, or maybe there's stress or tension. There might be health issues in the family. There's any number of things that can be places where we're learning about how to be in life, and we're learning things that are not healthy. We're not going to say good or bad anymore. I don't believe in that. But we're going to say it's not healthy. So in my case, I'll just give you a quick example. In my case, my father and mother worked a lot. They worked all the time, quite frankly. I never saw my dad except one afternoon a week. And so what a child learns from that is I'm not worth much. I'm worth less than their need to work. But we don't learn it at a cognitive level. We don't learn that we don't learn it by deductive reasoning. We don't have any deductive reasoning when we're 0 to 7 years old. We're just learning that as something in our gut. It's really down here at the heart level and in the belly level. And so we grow up wondering why I feel worthless. Why? So for people that feel worthless, in my case and in many, many other cases, turning to alcohol as some way of soothing myself seemed like a perfect way to do it because I'm worthless anyway. And so there's no reason for me to achieve or strive to be anything wonderful or great with my life. I will just take the easiest way out, which was the easiest people to hang out with were the other drunks. All you had to do was be a drunk. I mean, that's reality. That's basic reality. Everything I'm going to tell you is reality based on my experience and the experience of my working in the field for so many years that I've had, I've seen this dead on for so many people. So the question is why does hypnosis work? Well, I have these programs that I'm running. Most of the time, I'm not even aware that I'm running them, but my results show what the programs are. So I can see in my life, in my conscious mind, there's conscious mind and unconscious mind. In my conscious mind wants me to be the best I can be. My conscious mind is rooting me on. It wants me to be healthy. It wants me to be wealthy. It wants me to, have a loving family environment. Unfortunately, my unconscious mind may be having programs that say I'm not worthy, I can never amount to much, I'll be lonely all my life, nobody really loves me. There's so many different programs that are running in all of us. And so those are the programs that I want to change. But so if I get lucky, I find a therapist or I find someone and I find some written material somewhere, somehow, somebody suggests to me that maybe my programs aren't healthy. Well, now what do I do with them? How do I change them? And that's where hypnosis comes in, because if you think about the first 7 years of our life, and I got this from other, Dr. Bruce Lipton is one of the people that I got this from. I've learned a lot and read a lot about these different things and experienced it with others. So if I've got these programs in the first 7 years of my life, maybe it's possible that I'm in a theta wave state, which is the state of the vibration of hypnosis. So I'm like this little hypnotized character walking around, just sucking things up, just picking up information, picking up lots of stuff. And some of it's really unhealthy. And then I get to be an adult, and all of a sudden my life isn't going, I want to be a good person. I want to be healthy. I want to do good things with my life, and I can't stop drinking, or I can't stop smoking weed, or I can't stop overeating, or I can't stop thinking about sex, and I only choose bad, unhealthy relationships. There's so many different ways that these unhealthy programs show up. Well, if theta wave was the state I learned these programs in, well, theta wave then hypnosis is a great way to unlearn them and to produce programs that you want. So what I do when I work with people is really simply, well, not simply, but it is all about finding the programs that we're living with, finding the programs you're living with, and help you to develop what programs you want to live with, and then see how we can change them. And hypnosis works really well because in that very deep state of relaxation and the conscious mind goes to sleep, and the unconscious mind is there to be worked with and tweaked and given new orders and new direction. So it's like, I want to help you take control of your mind rather than your mind has been in control of you since you were born. And if you don't take control of it, it's going to continue doing the same thing till the day you die. One of my favorite sayings is nothing changes if nothing changes. If I don't change anything about my life, I'm going to keep living out that same pattern of choosing bad relationship partners, choosing, to think that I can't achieve anything, choosing to believe that I'm not valuable, choosing to not love myself. And the soul method, SOL, talks about source of love, because if I can get you, what I needed to do and what I want to help you to do is to learn to love yourself. I want you to flip the script on whatever you were born with, that I'm unlovable, especially if mom wasn't around or dad wasn't around. I mean, all the wise men say that basically without love, it's absolutely primal in our growth. I need air, I need water, I need shelter, I need food. I need to feel loved. I need to be held. I need to not just loved like somebody says I love you, but they never hold you. Or somebody says I love you, but they don't ever demonstrate it by never giving you any time. And for children, time is love. Love is time. If I don't get any time from the people that love me, you can tell me all you want. So my family believed, that making money was the most important thing. So what we did was they made lots of money so they could give you everything you needed to be healthy or whatever. For whatever reason they were doing that. They didn't have it, so they gave it to me and my family. And what we really all wanted was just to be held and told we were wonderful and loved. And so we got to change that program. So the source of love is me through hypnosis, helping you to find a way to love yourself, because maybe going on too much about this, but the one last story is true. I was addicted to chocolate chip cookies. This is a good one. Lots of us in life, we have one food that it's not healthy. We know it's not healthy, but we don't care. We just want to eat them. And I worked in a place where they made the best chocolate chip cookies that you can imagine. And they were big ones and they were free at lunch because we got free lunch if we were working in this place. And so every day at lunchtime, I'm walking in and I'm looking at that big tray of cookies there and I'm deciding which one am I having today? Do I want the red velvet one or do I want the chocolate chips with the extra chips or whatever? And then I do this hypnosis program for 30 days about, I need to learn how to love myself. I need to learn how to love myself. So it's a 30-minute hypnosis tape on just learning to love myself. And what happens over the course of 30 days later, I walk into the same dining room, the same tray of cookies is there. And I'm walking up and I look at that tray and I say to myself, and this is not me using willpower. I have no willpower. That's a lie. I don't have any willpower. I'm walking up to this tray of cookies and going, I love myself too much to eat that. And I don't see cookies anymore. I see poison. Not really poison, but you get the point. I'm looking at the tray and all I see is this is poison. And I love myself too much to eat that. And all of a sudden, like that, it's gone. It's gone. I don't need the cookies anymore because I've flipped I flipped the program from, that's what love, food is love, right? Now I recognize it for what it is. And now food is love for me, but it's healthy food and moderation and slowing down the eating process and enjoying it. All those things, you might want to change any one of the many things in your life and you just haven't been able to do it. And that's what I'm here for. I've worked with people for the last 20, 30 years doing that.
It's amazing. I mean, I definitely have a chocolate chip cookie in my life for sure.
Please don't run out and buy one right after this.
But in this day and age that we have right now, people try to interpret their feelings and things that they have going wrong. The words such as anxiety or stress. And you say it's like a programming, but why is it that instead of wanting to kill these feelings such as anxiety and stress, why is it treating these symptoms as an enemy, the exact reason that they stay stuck in the survival mode?
Well, just to be clear about that, it took me a lifetime to understand that when I felt emotional pain, that it wasn't something that I had to run away from and, deflect and distract myself from. For years and years and years, I ran away from loneliness and, and the feeling that, that loneliness was a killer for me. It debilitated me at times. And so I would try to deflect, let's go eat some more pizza. Let's go, do this. Let's go do that. Find some way to deflect from it. So In the course of doing that, there were many addictions. There was addictions to food and to touch and to alcohol and marijuana and overworking and money and things like that. So the pain comes up. The pain comes to me now, and this is this is what happens when you get healthy. Pain comes to me. Anxiety comes to me. Well, what's the anxiety about? What the anxiety is about is something that is a wound that I'm carrying somewhere inside of me in my emotional system. I call it my heart center. Not so much the limbic system, that part of it that regulates the emotions in your brain, but I really go right to the core of it, which is, core is a great word because it's the Latin word for heart. I go to the heart center and look for, okay, so there's this pain in my heart. I'm anxious about something. I'm anxious about how I'm going to do in this blog that we're doing. How am I going to come across? What are people going to think of me? And what I've learned, and I've learned it from various different sources, but in one post partners, I learned it, is that pain is just there to tell you there's something wrong. Like if my knee hurts, it's just simply, there's nothing, I don't have to give it a judgment call. I don't have to say that's good or bad or unhealthy. I can say maybe it's unhealthy, but it's just telling me that there's something wrong. Well, anxiety, loneliness, all the different kinds of negative emotions, envy, greed, grief, guilt, shame. Shame is one of the biggest ones. All these things are there just to tell me that there's something wrong with my thinking. So why is thinking important to the way I feel is that, and again, I've learned this from other people. This is not necessarily, I believe it. I just I don't want to take credit for thinking that I came up with all this stuff. How I feel about something is how I feel emotionally about something depends on what I think about it. Okay, so Stephen Covey gives the example in his book 7 Ways to Better Health, 7 Ways to Better Health, or something like that. In any case, guy gets on a subway car in Manhattan in New York City, and he's got 4 kids with him. And New Yorkers are one that'll tell you what they think about what your actions are. And his kids are running all over and making a lot of noise, and being a nuisance to some of the people that are trying to just relax. And somebody comes up to him, taps him on the shoulder, and he's sitting there, and he looks up, and the guy says to him, "Hey, why don't you take care of your kids? They're really all over the place here." And the guy looks up and he says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He says, "We just came back from the hospital and we found out that my wife has cancer." And all of a sudden, the guy goes from judgment and criticism into compassion for the person. And it was just the thought. It was the thought. So what I hope to do with you, if you'll let me help you, is things come up in your life, and instead of moving into judgment and criticism about anxiety, look at the source of it and say, there's some part of me that needs some compassion. I have this wound that I'm carrying in me that's making me feel bad about myself or making me feel insecure. Because what is anxiety? It's insecurity, right? We have these masses of insecurity. We have all kinds of social insecurity, financial insecurity, sexual insecurity, pride, all those different things. And they're all like up there working really hard to make sure that whenever we do something that we're not hitting any of those insecurities. And if we do hit them, then we get anxiety. We get all the different things that result from that. So what I'm doing, what I'm helping people to do is to reprogram their reaction. So again, not to divert too much, but to understand how things work is we have these neural programs and these programs in our brain, and they're all set up by neural networks and neural clusters. So an example, and I worked with a guy who, he had a 40-hour-a-week warehouse job. So he went to work 40 hours a week, and every day after work, he went to his favorite bar, and he spent 40 hours a week at the bar drinking, literally 40 hours a week at the bar drinking. So he would drink from like 5 to whenever the bar closed, and he'd go home, sleep, go to work. So every day he got out of work, he got in his car, went to the bar. Every day he got out of work, he got in his car, went to the bar. That's a neural pathway. It becomes something that it's important for us to have these kind of behaviors, these repetitive behaviors, because when you learn how to walk, you don't have to remember how to walk every day. When you learn how to drive your car, you don't want to have to remember how you start the car every day. It becomes a pattern. It becomes a habit. You get in the car, you put the key in the ignition, you turn it, and it starts. You get in, you do that a couple times, you do it maybe 50, 100 times, and it's not. And then when you're driving around, you see the traffic light, your foot comes off, the gas goes on the brake, you didn't have to think about it, did you? Not even for a minute, not even for a second. It's all these patterns of behavior. That's what neural networks do for us. They allow us to have these patterns of behavior so we don't have to think about what we're doing all the time. So if we were hunters and gatherers and we were living out in the in the wild where we were up for grabs as to whether we're going to be eaten or not, we would have our concentration not on what we're doing, but what's going on around us. We could be more aware of what's happening. So then neural networks. So the neural pathway is he gets out of work, goes to the bar, gets out of work, goes to the bar. Well, it doesn't take long before he's not thinking about it anymore. He just gets out of work and goes to the bar. Well, the issue then becomes, well, what happens when he finds, so he starts getting arrested for his drinking. He starts getting the consequences for his actions and behaviors. And that's what happens to addicts of all sorts. No matter what kind of addiction it is you have, it starts to get bad, when it gets unhealthy when you start to have negative consequences from it. So now he gets arrested. He's tired of giving all of his money. He has no money because he's giving all his money to the bartender. And the funny part of the story is when he got thrown in jail, the one time he got thrown in jail, the bar owner went down and bailed him out because he couldn't afford to lose the money he was getting from keeping him drinking there. Now that's pretty extreme, but that's the reality. So he decides to quit drinking. So he comes to AA, which is a 12-step program. Now everybody there is a drunk just like him. Everybody's got a program that they're running and they're learning to reprogram their brain. So a lot of meetings are at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, right after work. So sure enough, he gets out of work and goes to a meeting. He gets out of work. Next day, he goes to a meeting. Next day, he gets out of work, goes to the meeting. Next day, he gets out of work and starts to go to the bar and remembers, oh no, I'm going to the meeting. And over a period of, so that what they do is they want you to come back to the program for the 90 days because they know that if you do something for 90 days, it's going to become a habit and it's going to become something that's a healthy habit that you got. Well, why can't we do the same thing with you? Why can't we do it with any of the issues you got? Let's find out what those issues are. Let's go to the root cause of what's making these issues be real for you. And almost all the time it goes to some kind of something went wrong in puberty, something went wrong in early childhood, something went wrong in your teens. There's plenty of opportunities for lots of things to go wrong on all those different occasions, with culture the way it is and neighborhoods the way they are. And let's find what's keeping you from what's the cause of your anxiety, and let's find a way to overcome it. Let's reprogram it. So anxiety starts to come into you, and the first thing you do is, I find myself breathing heavy. My heart's palpitating. All the different symptoms of anxiety come up, and you become aware of them. Okay, now I know. Okay, anxiety is coming up. What can I do? The first thing I want to do is to slow everything down so I don't have to react to that anxiety and do something stupid. Because that's when I do something stupid, is when I'm in anxiety, when I'm in anger, when I'm in fear, anybody who makes a decision when they're in very high emotional states, it's almost always the wrong decision, guaranteed. So somebody comes to me and we look at their stuff and we slow it all down. Can you feel your right hand? Just for a moment. Can we bring you back into this present moment? Can we then unfold what was the cause? Where did this all begin for you, that this anxiety started? How old were you when you noticed these symptoms the first time? So I'm jumping right into it and going, let's go to the cause. Let's find some soothing symptoms for you so you don't feel crazy all the time, or don't feel anxious all the time. But then let's also dig into the stuff that's the root of what's happening for you and see if we can heal those wounds. And I've learned a lot of different ways how to do that. So I've never faced anybody I was never afraid to find anybody with their worst nightmare and help them get through it, literally. And some of them were pretty darn intense because I worked with a lot of trauma victims. And let's try and heal some of this stuff up and then change those neural pathways so that they lead you to some place of peace and soothing. One of my favorite parts about doing all this work is, like, people say, well, I don't have any compassion for the part of me that I need it for. And then I say, well, can we find compassion for the part of you that doesn't have compassion? And often that helps them to get, there's always a way to get through it if you're not stuck. And I'm not going to be stuck because I've gotten through all my own stuckness.
I think even when we're not being conscious about the changing and re-softwaring, let's say, we still do it. Like it might be little things here and there. While you were saying that, I was thinking I'd get pretty angry at people doing dumb things on traffic, and suddenly I'm not, because for XYZ reason. I don't remember exactly the reason why all of a sudden I stopped, but I guess whenever you're in that high intensity situations of having the utmost stress, depression, the side effects of gambling, addictions, etc., you don't have the mental fortitude to tap yourself on the shoulder and delete the program that you talk about and install again. Essentially,
can't do it.
You need someone. You need someone to help you.
My favorite expression is a broken thinker can't fix a broken thinker.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So,
and even when you're talking, I guess we can all sense that you don't claim to be a guru.
No, not at all.
You don't claim to be.
Well,
you created XYZ.
Right. Right. I didn't create it. The issue for me is that I've had a lot of difficulties, emotional difficulties in my life. I had a tough childhood, tough situation, really tough, and so I had to get help. And every time I found somebody that could help me, I learned how to do what they did. I mean, it's really sensible, right? If somebody can help me, then I can learn what they did. So I would learn Gestalt therapy. I studied hypnotherapy. I've studied neurolinguistic programming. I've studied, everything and anything where somebody was really effective in helping me. And so these issues, no one's coming. And here's the one that's most important for everybody listening, whether you ever want to talk to me or not. If you go to a therapist who has not worked on their own problems, then how can they work on your problems? How can they find solutions for you when they've never done their own problems? And one of the things about therapy is that, and I've seen this so many different times because I've worked with so many different therapists, they don't want to work on their own issues, so they go out and get a job where they work on your issues because they don't have to think about their own issues. And I've worked with people I've worked in many different rehabs for drug and alcohol and all kinds of different addictions, and a lot of times the people were just not have worked on themselves, and that's scary to me. I mean, I went to see a therapist one time, and I had to walk out. I couldn't believe that they would call themselves that. But in any case, it's not my job to worry about them. It's my job to take care of me and be the best I can be.
When I think about a therapist, it's almost like you're sitting there and you're telling someone your situations, you're telling someone your problems, and of course there can be solutions that can be found, because you're working with someone at the end of the day, But like you say, the resoftwaring part, I feel like that's where maybe it's lacking in the therapy realm, of just your day-to-day therapist, and being able to give the tools to the people, because maybe it's not just one thing that they're going to be tackling, but you're teaching them how to tackle the other problems that may come up in life in the future. You mentioned how you've worked also with businesses and helping teams. I've worked with corporations nowadays and businesses nowadays. They feel like pizza Fridays, casual weekends, dressed to work casually. Yeah. Those are the things that can bring maybe the atmosphere back at work and make people thrive. What would you do in a scenario for a business where they feel like their staff is a little bit burnt out?
Well, I have worked. If you work in the field, I've worked in prisons and I've worked in adolescent groups and group situations, and I've worked in many, many different kinds of situations, from the wealthy to the poorest of the poor. And staff has so many responsibilities. They have a job we're working with one of the most difficult parts of society. If you're working in an NGO, you're not working with the joyous, happy, and free people. You're working with people that are stuck either financially, economically stuck, or emotionally stuck, or they're living in tyrannical cultures. You're working with the most difficult people around. And so to say, hey, let's have some pizza on Friday and let's have some, you can wear your blue jeans. That's nice. But what I see happen so much of the time is, so I work for this company and they think they're a progressive company and they decide that they want to have a wellness program and I'm going to be the head of the wellness program. So I designed a wellness program for them using Chinese medicine, some Qigong and some Tai Chi, using a lot of different techniques from a lot of different people. And I say to my boss, I said, well, why aren't we doing this for our staff? No, we don't really. No, and I was like, I couldn't believe that this guy who's claiming to be progressive. Well, he's progressive when it makes him money, but he wasn't progressive. I shouldn't say these things, but I think it's true. He was progressive only in trying to make more money for his company, and not so progressive in wanting to help his employees. He thought they were given a fair wage, which they were. I mean, that was the nice thing about him. They were given a fair wage, but their job, the jobs were so difficult. You're writing paperwork. You're meeting with clients. You're meeting with clients' families. So mom is calling you as often as she can. Dad is calling you. Somebody's calling you. His PO is calling you because maybe he has legal issues, or his lawyer is calling, and they're all wanting information. And they're all wanting to tell you how to, what's wrong with this guy, and on and on and on. So we all know the difficulties of working. I don't know that everybody knows it, but there's a lot of difficulties in working with NGOs and in the field of helping. So what I want to do is what I want to do for the people that are there for treatment is to give them viable resets for the central nervous system to be able to get out of fight or flight mode and trauma mode and get into where I can control the activity in my limbic system. That's my emotional system. Because if I can control my emotional system, I can use the prefrontal cortex of my brain, which is the part of the brain that makes good decisions. So now I can be the best version of myself I can be in helping people. I'm no longer, if I'm not traumatized by the workload I have, I can move in, so how can I do that? So how do you do it? What's a reset? A reset is you set a stop, you have a phone, everybody's got a timer on their phone now, and you set your timer for 58 minutes, and every 58 minutes you take 2 minutes off and you start breathing. Every 58 minutes you do something like just feel your right hand where it is. Every 58 minutes you have something on your desk. You have some things on your desk that are pictures of something that's going to snap you out of your trauma and into something that's positive, healthy. There's simple qigong exercises that eliminate negativity. Literally. So I'm with somebody and all I hear is 40 minutes of negativity from them. This doesn't work out. They're just complaining. And now I got all their complaints and they're walking away feeling good. I can stick it all in. So what I got is literally a 2-minute physical exercise that somebody can do to release all the negativity, to just stop it and unload it. So I don't carry it to the next session and I don't carry it home with me. I just felt like, I was one of the luckiest people in work because I wasn't bringing this home with me anymore. Imagine going home with all your stuff and then dumping it on your partner. How's that going to be for your relationship? It's just, and then it just cycles in. We got to stop the cycle and get resets. Also, intention is really important. Why are you doing this work? Are you doing it? I have to be honest with you. Some people are doing the work again because they don't want to look at their own stuff. So they're trying to help everybody on the planet. And meanwhile, they're dying. They're just, you can see it. I worked with people that had eating disorders that were therapists. Eating disorders, blatant, easy eating disorders, big time eating disorders. And they want to go and help somebody. Well, I know why they want to go help somebody because I don't have to deal with my own stuff. So what I want to do is at least give everybody at the basic level, let's give them all reset buttons. Let's give them a whole host of reset buttons so they can find the one that they like. Because there's thousands of forms of Qigong out there. And I said, well, which one is the right one? And the guy said to me, the one you do every day is the right one. So I want to find them the one for them that's the right one. Plus, I also want to bring them together, because if I'm togetherness with other people, if I've got somebody on my side of me, not necessarily behind me, but on my side of me, that I can put my arm around and say, "Hey, we're in this together. I'm here for you. You're here for me." And then we go to lunch and we can. Boy, that was a rough morning. I need some help with what is going on. And see, again, here's how it works. This is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. If I'm working with you and your limbic system is all messed up, you're at maximum anxiety, maximum loneliness, maximum greed, maximum fear, whatever it is, your limbic system is working overtime. There is nothing happening in the prefrontal cortex. There is no connection. If we did an EEG scan of your brain, there would be no activity in the front part of your brain. So what happens is you come to see me at lunchtime and you tell me all your stuff. I can get out of my limbic system to hear you. I can get into my prefrontal cortex to give you some good advice. And then when you're done, I can say, well, listen to what happened to me this morning, and you can help me. So it's not like I'm not going to amp up your limbic system. I'm going to help you to release it and get clear. And you're going to do the same thing for me. And it may not be that we even need to complain about our morning. It may be just that we need somebody to say, hey, can you just hold me? Can you just give me a hug? Can you just, hold my hand? Can you just, whatever is appropriate. I know that there's all kinds of appropriate regulations and stuff like that, but whatever, if I'm a consenting adult, appropriate is like just getting a hug. I want a hug, And once I know I'm coming to work, and I'm coming to work there as part of a team, not just an individual who's out there on an island, if I hear one more story about mom did this to me, I'm going to fly off the handle. I've got outlets. I've got lots of outlets. And then again, we're always going to be a reminder of what's our purpose here? Why are we doing this? If we're doing this to create a better world, then I have a purpose in doing this. And yeah, I'm not, it's just, there's all these different things that people that work in the field are desperate for. And when they don't get it, it comes out sideways. It's always going to hurt the company. It's always going to hurt the company. They can't do their best work. Absolutely. There's no way in the world they can do their best work. I've seen it so many places. I've seen it in places where, things get crazy in the, not in front of the owner of the company or the boss. We're always trying to look our best. But often the boss is one of the problems in the company. We better strike that one.
I mean, I've been a manager of NGOs myself, and just like I said, I'm not the boss per se, but I'm the first wall of defense.
Right.
So whenever people have that feeling that they cannot control anymore, they almost holding it in, and then all of a sudden, boom, I quit.
It's gonna come out bad.
And you end up losing one of your best staff. You end up losing people and the reason that they have it all inside is because they care so much about the work. Sometimes it's one of the best staff we might have, even though the results and stuff like that maybe not be up to par to other people, but the performance is there. So, and they're taking it all in, and they're taking it home. And then when you were saying it, I was thinking, they take it home, the partners reject. How do you feel?
Well, imagine that energy just walking in the house. Forget about what's being said. Just imagine the energy. This energy comes into your house because it's the energy of anxiety. It's the energy of, I've had it. I can't take one more thing. And they pick that up. If you're in tune in this field, you're attuned to everybody's feelings, and so you come home and you're dumping this on your partner. It's like, well, hey, go to the gym first, go do something else besides go to a Tai Chi class, go to a yoga class, do something else.
And that something else sometimes can be alcohol.
Well, often it's whatever they've been leaning on. So just to be a reminder also, this is not, people come to me and they tell me, I've been diagnosed with this and I've been diagnosed with that and I've been diagnosed with this. I don't really care about the diagnosis. You have a problem. Your problem came from something that happened to you. Let's find out what happened to you. And I know that there's people with chemical, issues, that there's brain chemistry issues, and that they need medicine, they need stuff, and they're not going to be changed by my sitting down with them and teaching them how to do yoga or something like that. But at the same time, like, I see so many people that are just not in love with themselves enough to eat well, or not in love with themselves and to stop smoking, not in love with themselves to stop drinking. It's always about that. It's not, you're not a bad person. You didn't wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to screw up my life today. There's not a drunk I've ever met that said, I woke up and I said, did you ever wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to screw up my day today? No one ever says yes. They don't do that. But because of the addiction, I do that. I do screw up. I screw up my life completely. And I tell people, you're not responsible for how you got here. You're responsible for what you do once you get here. So I don't like, if I work with people, they're going to work. If I end up working harder than they do, I won't meet with them anymore. If I have to do all the work and they're doing nothing but coming here and just blabbing, tell me about all their problems every day, I say, nothing's going to change. You got to be willing to change. Anyway.
Is there anyone in particular that you can remember, like the beginning, middle, and end of how it was to help them re-systemize, I guess, if that's the correct word?
Yeah.
And what was the feeling that they said to you at the end?
Because I worked in rehabs and they were usually 30-day programs, I didn't get to see too much about what happened once they left the program. I saw what happened while they were in the program and the changes they made there. And then in my personal life, because I had my own issues and I went to 12-step programs for those issues, I've seen people come out of there, be effective at stopping drinking and be effective at stopping smoking weed and being effective at changing their habits, their patterns, eating, and whatever. I have pretty high standards of what sobriety is. So for me, sobriety isn't just stopping drinking. It's like, again, it goes back to, did you learn how to love yourself? Did you learn, do your action steps on any given day demonstrate to you and to the world that you love yourself? Right? Are you staying in a relationship that's not fulfilling because you're of shame or guilt? Or are you, I don't drink anymore, but I'm gambling like crazy and whatever. So let's talk about not so much addicts, but every other people besides them. I just can't tell you how many times people have said to me, you changed my life. Because the path that we said that they wanted to be on, and I helped them to get on and stay on, was something that gave them what they wanted. They ended up finding healthy relationships instead of unhealthy relationships, or finding. I remember there's a guy I worked with. I ran groups after they got out of treatment it's called outpatient groups. And so I saw people on a regular basis for a while, for a long while after that. And there was a guy that, he got sober, and I was with him in about day 60. He was starting to see me. And he comes in one day and says, I got to get another job. I just hate my job. I can't do it. I don't know why I'm doing this job. I hate my job. And then he ended the group with me, and then I saw him like 6 months later. I ran into him maybe 8 or 9 months later. I said, did you ever get that new job? He said, no, I love my job. He says, all the things that he needed to do to appreciate his job, he cleared. He didn't hate his job. He couldn't do his job well because his mind wasn't there. He was like working with half a brain. And when he got his whole brain behind it, which takes months and months and months in recovery, all of a sudden he's going to work. Oh yeah, I'm enjoying this now. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a difficult question because, I've had better success with people that, all right, so I'm working with a guy now, it's a year later, and he comes to me with issues around finance issues come up, health issues come up, and romance issues come up. So that's a trifecta, right? When that happens, it's happened to me in my lifetime at different times, but when you get the three of them and they come up at the same time, it's like, it could be overwhelming, and it overwhelmed him. And so he's got health issues, he's got wealth issues, and he's got romance, health, wealth, and finance, yeah. And so we work to put him back on track. No miracles happen. No, we're still working at it. Is he a better person now than he was before? Absolutely. He was down. He was down, way down. And helping him get back on his feet is, something that I love to do. I don't know if that's an answer to your question at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think from the moments that we spoke, it's like people do these 12-step programs.
Better. Some of them.
They get better, but then they fall back because they didn't actually fix what was in the past.
Right.
They didn't fix the reason
right.
why they were addicted. Because one day maybe they're addicted to alcohol, they fixed the addiction to alcohol. Now they are overworking.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's
loaded themselves up with work.
Oh yeah, I've got 3 jobs.
Run away from
I got 3
the
jobs.
alcohol. Yeah. They're running away from the usual stuff that they had negative consequences for in the past. So, but yeah, I mean,
here's what I can say. My dream is when I work with people that I'm not going to be with them for 10 years. I know people that have been with a therapist for 10 years and they're still the same people that were when it started. Because again, what we were saying before is, if my issues are unconscious issues and I go into a therapist and all we do is talk back and forth to each other, he's talking to my conscious mind, I'm talking to his conscious mind, and nobody's healing the problem. Nothing's happening. Nobody's getting any work done. And it's like addiction to this. I got this therapist. Well, but you're still as unhealthy as you were when you started with him in a lot of cases. Nothing really changed in the way the person acts, behavior, activities. So it's like, what's that about? So with me, I want you to come in and work with me. We're going to work on, at your pace, not my pace, but at your pace, we're going to work on healing some of those wounds that you have, healing as many as you want. My goal is to actually get clarity so you can walk around being clear of issues that you've been carrying in the past for decades. If anything, I'm most effective at doing that. If you don't want to be carrying some wound that you've been carrying, I think of the heart as this, like a boat, and it's got all these barnacles on it that never get cleaned up. And now I can't get to where I want to go because I'm carrying all these barnacles with me, or I'm carrying all these wounds with me. So one thing for sure is we're going to clean up as many of your wounds as you're ready to clean up when you're ready to clean them up. I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to help you to do that. But we're not going to spend years at it. We don't need that. I'm not going to go home with them. I can't follow them around the rest of the time. Yeah.
Listening who realize today that they're stuck in that survival mode, that they feel like that there is some retuning that's needed, especially from whenever you feel like it might come from the past, it might come from different traumas that happened to you when you were younger, or any team directors who know that Pizza Fridays aren't cutting it anymore. I guess the best place to reach you will be on the website. I'll leave the website on the description. People can just go there and click it. And then from the website, they can reach you on your business WhatsApp.
Right.
They can schedule with you an appointment.
Yeah, consultation. Just to talk.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
To see if you guys can work together.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they can be part of the success stories.
We want to heal. Allow them to heal. Give them the best opportunity for healing.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you.